OdeeLoccSportsInfo here, back with another vid for you guys. Yeah, y'all, hit that subscribe, like, bell icon so y'all can be notified of this reel, because y'all know OdeeLoc keeps it real. Yeah, y'all, I was looking at this video by Tim Bradley, right? And Tim Bradley, he had broke down the Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence fight, and he broke down the Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence fight, right? And he said Errol Spence better be careful against Manny Pacquiao, because Manny Pacquiao has power, has great footwork, and he has great angles, right? And he's a combination puncher. That's the main thing, right? Tim Bradley, he basically said that Errol Spence, he should be careful, because Manny Pacquiao is not just going to throw one punch, one or two punches. No, he's going to go 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And we all know what Errol Spence Jr. do when combinations come his way, right? Errol Spence goes into the high guard, right? He goes into the high guard. But against Manny Pacquiao, that is dangerous, because Manny Pacquiao has angles, right? He have angles. So Manny Pacquiao, he can throw two punches, right? Errol Spence going to the high guard, right? Then before he know it, Manny Pacquiao is on his left side or on his right side throwing more punches, right? And then he'll have to turn with the high guard, and Manny Pacquiao can switch positions and, right, just keep going. So Errol Spence Jr. better be careful. This is what Tim Bradley said. He said, and power is the last thing to go. And Manny Pacquiao has power. So Tim Bradley, he said, Errol Spence Jr., I can see him winning the fight. This is exactly what he said. He said he favored Errol Spence Jr., but he wouldn't be surprised if Manny Pacquiao wins the fight, right? He wouldn't be surprised if Manny Pacquiao pulls it out. Then he said, between the fight with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, he said he see Terrence Crawford knocking Errol Spence out. And this is what I've been telling y'all. I've been telling y'all this for the longest. He see Terrence Crawford knocking Errol Spence Jr. out. I see the same thing. I don't know what other people be looking at, but Errol Spence Jr. is a flat-footed fighter. He have to be planted on his front foot to get off power punches. Period. Point blank. Right? He have to be set. If you make him keep resetting, he's a basic fighter. For real. But if you stand in front of Errol Spence Jr., of course he's going to throw punches and try to punish you. But if you give him angles, you move around, and you do what Shawn Porter was doing, because if you paid attention to the fight, Shawn Porter negated his jab. Shawn Porter negated Errol Spence Jr. jab in that fight. That's why Errol Spence Jr., he had to get into the slugfest with Shawn Porter, because Shawn Porter's feet was too fast for him. And he can get in and out before Errol Spence Jr. can react. Right? So Errol Spence Jr., he had to let go of the jab, because Shawn Porter was slipping it, getting in the inside. He had to let go of that, and he had to slug it out with Shawn Porter. He didn't want to slug it out. Right? That's the excuse that he's going to use. Oh, yeah, I wanted to fight Shawn Porter fight. No, you didn't. Because you was trying to establish your jab from the first round. But by the third round, you couldn't do nothing with the jab, so you abandoned it. And you got into a slugfest with Shawn Porter. Stop lying. See, this is what I be saying, man. Like, these boxers, they can't keep it real to save their life either, right? But, yeah, y'all, Tim Bradley, he broke it down, and he said he favors Errol Spence Jr., but he wouldn't be surprised if Manny Pacquiao win, right? Probably by knockout. But regarding the Crawford and Spence fight, he has Crawford by knockout. And I got the same thing. And Errol Spence Jr., he knows this too. He'll get knocked out. That's why he avoiding this fight.